Hello. Hey, I did not boomer it. What a great start already. Hey, Dadman Walking 55 here, coming to you on another Sunday night for another recap show of the previous week's action of week 13 of Southeastern Conference football. But not just that, the end of the regular season. 13 weeks are in the books. There's been a lot of drama. There's been some big surprises. There have been some big disappointments. It runs the gamut. But you know what, folks? That is what makes college football what it is so great. Besides the bands, we all love the band members, especially some of our geek band members. Everybody says that sports are not geeky. Well, guess what? We got band members in the chat and in the panel that are band nerds. So hey, embrace the band side of college football. It's something you can't get in the NFL. So hey, we will make it geeky. A guy like me makes sports geeky by guess what? Numbers. You want numbers? I can get you numbers. I can divide numbers. I can multiply numbers. How many different numbers do you want to see? We can do it. Challenge us. It's like every time I watch a sport that I've not watched in a few years, they come back with like 3 or 4 more stat categories. So it is so fun with the stats. I tell you what, between hockey and baseball, some of the stats I've seen now since I've last watched them, woo! But hey, at least we're here for football tonight. My favorite sport. A lot of people like it. Very passionate with the sports, especially in the college. It has the feel that the NFL does not have. And, it's unpredictable too, in many cases. And I'm just going to say hello first to Whoopa Troopa. Hey, buddy, good to see you out there. Yes, there was a crazy end of the regular season. Even last week, I would say there was some craziness too. But yes, very crazy end of the season, nationally as well as within the conference. So glad you're here today, Whoopa. And you'll get to take a victory lap again a little bit later. So we'll remind everybody how well you did. Mrs. Dadman Walking 55, of course, the technical genius and the guts behind the operation that keeps us running, and all the beautiful stats and slides you see. I would not be here without her efforts and to keep me on the air. And, I only look good because she looks good. She makes me look good. So, yeah. And she looks good too. So I'll be biased. So, that's like this intro we have, hopefully more will come in. And if you're not, if you're lurking, thank you. If you're on the Twitch side, make sure you follow our channel at Dadman Walking 55. If you're on the YouTube side, leave a like and share out the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So, we appreciate everybody being here, though, if you're lurking or whatever. But it's great when you say hi and stuff like that. Hey, we got Squeak in the house. Hey, to you. Hey, thank you listening while you're working. Hey, that counts. We love that, too. Lurking while working is what I call it. LURKING WRKIG. So glad you're here, Squeak. Glad to see you again. And Subhuman. Hey, yo to you, Subhuman. Great to have you here. I'm not sure if I've seen you here before, but hey, I know I've seen you on Twitter. Glad you're around. Hey, let's talk some football tonight, and specifically, we're talking the Southeastern Conference. So, as we discuss stuff, if you have points you want to raise, put them out there. If you have questions about football or rules, put them out there. We'll do the best we can to do whatever we can to answer your question. And, let's just talk some football tonight among friends. And speaking of that, and of course, Super Whoopa. Yeah, Super Whoopa this year. So without further ado, my backup, the one that I've somehow came across on Twitter, bonded instantaneously with somebody from the University of Tennessee fandom, which is like 20 years ago, I'd have said you were crazier than hell, or hell would have frozen over. But this is what a great sport, passionate football fan, hockey fan, everything. Let's welcome the Geeky. Hey, Geeky.
Hello, sports fans. How's it going?
Yeah, how's your weekend been? How's your holiday been?
It's been great. I had to work Thanksgiving and had to work Black Friday, but that was fine. And then yesterday, I got to do a lot of Christmas shopping and got to watch the Vols, which we'll talk about later. And right now, since you mentioned the NFL, I'm currently seeing, well, I haven't checked it in a little bit, but my Raiders were up 24-20 against the Seahawks. So I'm having a good weekend so far.
Well, amazingly, by miracle, since we last talked, the Jaguars managed to win a game.
Ow! I don't
That's
know if that's
almost
just
like the Oregon State comeback. They came back from 10 and actually won.
Yeah, they did. And of course, my Ducks act like they're cousins in Southern California and just choked it up.
Hey, Beavers beat Ducks all the time, Go Beavers.
Hi, Mrs. Dadman. I see that she said hello. And Whoopa and Subhuman 84, what's up? And
Yes, good to
Squeaka,
see you.
hey.
Absolutely. And yeah, the Jags had a crazy style with a pass to the corner of the end zone and a 2-point conversion. That new trend of
Wow.
not going for overtime, which I don't know if I like that as a general rule or not. I think sometimes in college I might, but in the NFL, I'm still old school where you play for overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And, since they still have the old overtime rules.
Well, okay. So since I am a hockey fan and
Mhm.
my team, the Anaheim Ducks, have only had one regulation win, I absolutely despise overtime because then it's like, okay, so how bad is my team going to screw this up? Which actually goes along the lines of the SEC because I actually got to go to the bowl game where the Volunteers played the Tar Heels and we won 20-14. And then, of course, Tennessee had to suck it up and they had too many men on the field. So they called them back and the Tar Heels ended up beating Tennessee that year. So I despise overtime.
Oh, wow. It's I'm a little bit of the old school. The thing is, you get the ball first, you score a touchdown, it's over. So I think I
Mm-hmm.
just caused a riot in the chat. So yeah, Jags won increased style. He did come close to that 67-yarder. That's a field goal. You can't. It was straight on. You just didn't have enough stuff. But here we go. Nah, in the NFL, I say don't play for overtime. You lose the coin toss and not even get a chance to get the ball in overtime.
That is
That's
very
true.
true.
That's true, but I'd rather take my chance on defense than sometimes that 2-point conversion. But because, if you can finish out with a tie in the NFL, you still get, it still can have advantages in the tiebreakers down the road. But hey, that's what's great about sports, Geeky. We can all have different opinions on strategies and everything else, can't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some people will say, going for that 2-point conversion, that's great. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, but have you seen our offense? Yeah, they scored a touchdown, but they haven't been driving so hard. So, you've always got differing opinions.
Well, we were talking about that yesterday, watching the Oregon State-Oregon game,
Mm-hmm.
about the Oregon coach refused to kick a field goal in the first quarter.
Yep. And that ended up biting him
Yeah, I
pretty
mean
hard.
they lost by 4, and it's like
Yep.
2 field goals, or even it's just crazy. But then again, I do concede to Whoopa sometimes. Like in college, look what LSU did against Alabama when they
True.
scored that touchdown to pull within 1.
Yep.
I mean, FSU got burned earlier in the season, first game of the year, with a blocked extra point, and they lost the game. That's another
Yep.
thing that could go wrong. But hey, they had the home field advantage. They had the crowd on their side. Go for 2, win the game, and put it away.
I
So
agree. And whenever you mention, the crowd, I totally agree with that, especially with the Tennessee Alabama game that we had. That crowd was so loud that I'm sure that it was difficult for Alabama to even hear the play calls. So I'm going to attribute that as well to our win against Alabama, but that's still one of those that I'm just like, yes.
well, my kid was is at Georgia, and she said was they I think I showed you the picture too, but where they put the Tennessee band and fans was right next to the student section.
Mhm.
Because I heard somebody on the Sports Animal talk about that week, and I kind of laughed. My kid said that place was so loud it was deafening.
Yes.
And it was just And Georgia's not known to be a rowdy stadium.
No, but whenever you get their fans up there, that decibel level just starts going up and up and up.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, Tennessee came in to challenge, and they put them down. So
I'm proud of my boys this year.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll look at the season and say, Geeky, I have Matt Collins starting on my fantasy team. Got a tutty for your Raiders.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love having Whoop in the chat. He loves his sports. So I think he also does hockey too, but he's really big with baseball. So, but hey, thank you. Nice chat. Thank you everybody here. If you're new to the channel, leave us a like and subscribe on the YouTube's channel and follow us on Twitch. And I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And let's have some fun. If you got questions about football, about rules, anything else, or play what happened in the game, that's what we're here for, and we'll talk it, squeeze it in, and we'll do what we can. Okay. With that being said, shall we move on to what the meat of tonight's show, Geeky?
Let's move it on.
Well, let's do it. But we'll start with our usual disclaimer that we're not a gambling site. We don't promote gambling. We're just friends talking football, being crazy about football. Plus, also, if you look at some of my picks many of the times, you wouldn't want to rely on them because we're doing it for fun. We don't pick with points or anything like that. We're just, like I said, to have fun, and especially some weeks that I've been. This week was not a very good week either for me or the guest. And our guest this week was Lorena Creole. And we'll take a look at the results in that in a few moments. So, all right, just remember, we're not a gambling site. So we're going to cover a few things tonight's show. We're going to look at this week's results. What we're having to do is recap. We're combining what is normally a Thursday night show with tonight, and then we're looking at the games and the results from this weekend, and we're looking at the results of the picks, and then looking forward. So we got a lot of stuff to get into, but don't hesitate if you have a question or something. Throw your hand up, throw something in the chat. We love questions. And if not, I'll blame Geeky for the answer, right?
Huh? What did I do? Why am I always getting blamed?
Well, at least I didn't mute your tab this time, okay?
This is very true.
So, as I said, week 13 is in the books. So here's where we're going to stand. And we're going to start with the review of this week's games. Number one, Georgia was in action this week. They hosted in-state rival Georgia Tech. The Rambling Wreck had a 7-0 lead in this game, actually. Georgia was up only 10-7 at halftime, but pulled away to win 37-14 using a 27-7 run in the second half. When you look at a lot of the stats, the numbers, it's always Keith. Oh, my gosh.
You try to do a good thing and you try to come on and have fun, and then everybody blames you for the technical difficulties.
Oh,
right, I get it.
They do it because they love you. They love you.
No.
Yes. Well, Georgia amassed 407 yards in offense. Like I said, had a 10-7 lead at halftime. Used a 27-7 run to win going away. This is another win that Georgia has dominated the series for quite a while. Stetson Bennett was only 10 of 18 this week for 140 yards passing, but 2 touchdowns. Georgia was very flat in this game coming out, ran for about 260 yards. Georgia Tech was actually pretty efficient, throwing for about 215 yards and only running for 40, but it was actually kind of a good game in the first half for a while, until Georgia asserted itself in the second half.
And that's usually how it goes with Georgia. Like I said, whenever they played Tennessee, it was almost like they were kind of playing with their food for a minute. And then after in the second half, that's whenever they, turned on the Jets. So that seems very on par for Georgia football.
Yeah, it really was. And they've had a number of games like that this year. They beat Samford, a small division team, 33-0. They struggled with Kent State. Games at home specifically. That's what's kind of odd. Then they had the road game at Missouri where until 4 minutes left in the game, they were trailing.
Yep. And Mrs. Dadman says, I blame Dadman in the chat.
Yeah, I got a feeling Mrs. is going to have other people supporting her on that one too along the way. So, but and one of the touchdowns for Georgia was bloating. Usually there are at least a few of those, especially when you're dealing with Southeastern Conference officials, right, Geeky?
Oh God, yeah.
That's one thing. I think the most hated enemies of each other in SEC can agree on one thing, and that's
The SEC officiating. Yep.
Yes.
Oh God.
Oh. So that's about it with the Georgia Tech game. Georgia's won another in the series and is continuing to run away with it. It's not been close in recent years. So, but there is some improvement. There's some hope in Atlanta that their team may actually get better, especially now that they're a couple years removed from all the option plays what Paul Johnson had run and the coaching staffs before him. So,
yep.
Next is like the shocker of the week, I think, in the conference.
Yeah, buddy.
Texas A&M in the bottom basement of the SEC West rears its head up and play. Somehow they must have not gotten the message. They must have thought the season started Thanksgiving weekend. They dominate. In the first half, this game was close back and forth. It was 17-17, but then A&M pulled away in the second half. LSU uncharacteristically turned over the ball, but A&M pulled away with a convincing 38-23 win over LSU, who is going to play in Atlanta against Georgia next Saturday. Geeky, what are your thoughts looking at this result?
That is, well, you know what? I can't say that because look what happened to Tennessee last week against South Carolina. Like South Carolina, turned on the Jets and they said, "Oh, well, I guess the season starts this week," and they trampled all over my balls. So, I have no words for like how A&M just came out of the gutter and not stomped LSU, but I mean they beat up on them pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Whoopa, I'm going to star this. I'm going to do something new. I'm actually going to star a comment, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit later when we get to the brackets. Okay. Trampled over your what?
My balls, BOLS.
Balls, BOLS. Come on, BOLS.
Look, the accent sometimes muddles my words, so it's BOLS. Go Vols, go.
Oh man, yeah, it's hilarious, but that's awesome. But yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yes, you are a star, Whoopa. We will come back to that point in context when we look at the conference standings and look at the national polls. But LSU basically threw for 200. They're balanced 200 yards of offensive running and passing each. A&M ran for 274 yards. Devin Akani ran for 215 yards, scoring 2 touchdowns. Connor Wegman, the A&M quarterback, was efficient, 12 of 18, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So A&M played the game of the year that they've had. I mean,
yep.
I mean, they win this game at home, yet they're still the team that lost at home to Appalachian State. They got trounced by Florida, the team that really doesn't know what it wants to be in the conference. So, hey, that's crazy. But
poor Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Poor Florida.
Sorry, the Tennessee in me is coming out because, of course, I'm like, oh, poor Florida. But then a little part of me is like,
we all had 20 years of futility. You deserve to.
Yes.
You deserve to gloat a bit. So,
yes, I agree.
Especially some of those years, Florida had no business winning and won the game no matter what. So, but yeah, this game has big ramifications. We'll talk about that a little bit further. But LSU has won the Western Division. Will be in Atlanta on Saturday, and I'll tease it now, but later we're planning on having a conference football special this Thursday at 9:30. We're going to look at the SEC championship game featuring LSU and Georgia. But we're also going to look at the championship games of the other 4 of the 5 power conferences: the Atlantic Coast, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Pac-12. I think I got the names right finally. I've been so screwing them up because there's 12 and 10, and they can't keep up with the numbers. But anyway, that being said, hope that we'll tease it again towards the end, but hope to see you there for that. But any other thoughts of this LSU A&M game that was really, I think, unexpected considering how bad A&M has been?
It was very unexpected, and I know that we're going to talk about it on Thursday, but at this point, even if LSU somehow rallies, I just don't think that they're going to beat Georgia, especially after losing to Texas A&M. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about it later, but I mean, at this point, I'm just like, yeah, LSU has no chance against Georgia.
I think the biggest problem was not necessarily LSU's offense, was A&M's offense.
Yeah.
I mean, for A&M to finally score 38 points, where did that come from? And LSU's had a decent defense this year, although Florida managed to put up some points on them, but who saw this coming? So, all right, well, we'll go to the Iron Bowl next, the big rivalry game between Alabama and Auburn in the state of Alabama. Alabama comes away with a 49-27 win, fairly easy win. Had a good lead at halftime. Second half pretty much played out as usual, as expected. Let's see. The Bryce Young threw for 343 yards for Alabama. Robbie Ashford for Auburn threw for 77 yards, but again was under 50% completion again. Alabama had a 35-14 lead at halftime, so it was over early at that point. So it had a 21, ended up winning by 22. So Alabama amassed 516 yards of offense, and Auburn committed 2 turnovers, and Alabama committed 1. I mean, this was really not a dramatic Iron Bowl. It just, it was just kind of sad for a matchup like this. You really like to see a game like this to be very competitive with all the in-state bragging rights and everything that's going on. But what do you? I mean, your team had to play Alabama this year. Really fought hard and beat them. So what do you think with this game?
To be honest with you, I know Alabama, and I'm not shocked that Auburn lost. Auburn hasn't been really all that great this year, so I'm not shocked by it.
The recent rumors that I've been hearing of news reports is that they're talking with Hugh Freeze, who used to be the coach at Ole Miss. There were some allegations against the program there years ago, and he left that job or was deposed at that job and is now coaching Liberty, where he just got a contract extension. So I wonder if the contract extension with timing was the fact of if he gets the job at Auburn, that the Liberty gets more money, for a buyout. But all signs seem to be pointing at, since Lane Kiffin extended his contract at Ole Miss, is going to stay there, then Hugh Freeze seems to be the natural talk. Hey, since you laughed at the kitten remark, explain for people out there why you laughed. The wonderful feelings that the people in the great state of Tennessee have for Lane Kiffin.
Well, since this is a family-friendly show, I'm gonna keep this clean. Lane Kiffin is, that's all I can say about Lane Kiffin. He came in 1 year and then left us high and dry, and then he had Lane Kiffin. That's a good. Sorry, I got distracted by the comment. Lane Kiffin is just an idiot, in my opinion. He's just an idiot, and I can't stand him. Like, that whole year was just a waste.
Let me ask you this question, and I'm asking it seriously. I'm not trying to poke you with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you rather have had continue to be coach, Lane Kiffin or Derek Dooley?
That's a good question.
Okay, well, you think I'm going to hit Whoopa's comments real quick? Oh, hey, good job. Good luck, Whoopa. you'd be set for life on 1 year coaching salary, I think, probably, with the way coaches go nowadays. Good for you. And the kitten remark. Okay. That comes from a sports radio show that I used to listen to down here, but I gave up and I started listening to sports talk out of Knoxville, out of where Tennessee is, because they actually talk college sports. But the guys here, Lane Kiffin used to be a Jaguar assistant or analyst, and he's the son of the old defensive coordinator, and people really kind of made fun of him here, like a coffee guy and stuff. So they just basically called him Lane Kitten. That was the joke. So,
yeah.
But he's gotten better as a coach. He's gotten more respectable and things like that. So, Upa said the problem with me being a coach, Upas don't have arms. You can never throw a challenge flag.
You would have to get an assistant coach so that they can throw the flag.
No, what you do, you stick it in your mouth or either hang it on the things on the side of your head. And then when you have to throw it, you flick your head. Either spit it out or flick it off your ear. So back to the Derek Dooley question.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to think about that one a little further?
You know what? I would almost want Derek Dooley, because Lane Kiffin, and forgive me because my my football brain is going back so far that it's going in that filing cabinet where there's so many files. Lane Kiffin had a couple of violations that he committed at Tennessee.
Right.
So I would have rather had Derek Dooley and not had those violations, because I feel like that did hurt us as well. Of course, it also hurt Lane Kiffin over there at USC.
I think I remember that. It was like
his dream team.
I mean, for somebody that was only there for 1 year, it was like kind of crazy,
He caused a lot of havoc. So like I said, I'm going to keep it family friendly, but Lane Kiffin is an idiot.
Okay, you heard it here. So
substitute whatever curse word you want for idiot, and that's pretty much how I feel.
I gotcha. Well, let's move on to the Mississippi State Ole Miss, the Egg Bowl. Fortunately, this year they did not have the dog pee incident that we've documented before. If you're not familiar with the dog pee incident, go look at the 2019 Egg Bowl dog pee on YouTube. You'll see what happened in that game. But at this time, Mississippi State beats Ole Miss 24-22. Really not much to play for. I mean, in the state, it's bragging rights, but Jackson Dart for Ole Miss threw for 250 yards on 30 of 38 passing. Will Rogers was 27 of 39 for 239 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and an interception. Ole Miss is pretty much a back and forth game the whole time. Mississippi State that pulls it out late in the fourth quarter. Offensive stats are really 336 to 335. Time of possession was 32 to 27. First downs were even at 20 and 19. More for Mississippi State, but I mean they're very negligible. So really, it was a very balanced game here, and that's the thing with a game like this. It really comes to in-state bragging rights and recruiting. So they need more dog peeing incidents. That makes it a little more fun,
Exactly.
Exactly. So,
and I don't really have an opinion on this game because to be perfectly honest, I didn't even watch this one.
Yeah, I was busy hosting a Fortnite stream that night. So hey, yeah. I was like, I used to think that game would be kind of cool to watch a football game on Thanksgiving night, but I don't know. As I get older, I have less desire to watch. I love going through the state of Mississippi. It's a beautiful state to visit. Mm-hmm. We've been on the Natchez Trace. We've been to some battlefields out in that place, and it's a beautiful state. But I don't know. The football's boring. So anyway, but hey, at least they kept the coach, so that's good for Ole Miss.
He's safe from the chopping block.
Well, at least he didn't jump to Auburn, so we'll see. But how long he will stay there? He probably will be more likely an NFL coach if he gets an opportunity than going to college again. So then we move to Missouri beats Arkansas 29-27, a game on Friday afternoon. Um, it was a late afternoon. That this game used to be like LSU and Arkansas. I mean, before
Mhm.
Missouri joined the conference, and why they stuck Missouri on a Friday game like that, I don't. It just is an odd matchup that I personally have never really been able to get into. But Brady Cook was 16 of 26 for Missouri for 242 yards and a touchdown. KJ Jefferson was 20 of 27 for Arkansas for 212 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, and threw for an interception. Brady Cook for Missouri also ran for 138 yards and a touchdown on 18 carries, while Dominic Lovett for Missouri had 6 catches for 130 yards. So they've Missouri really pulled out to have a decent year and to salvage it, because with this win, Missouri moved to 6-6 and became bowl eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, not good for them. A lot of rumblings with the coach early in the season. I know Whoopa's a little more familiar with the talk out there in the Midwest, and so yeah, it's very odd. SEC is trying to make it a rivalry, but I don't think either school. You know what I saw the other day, and you may be able to shed some light on it, Whoopa. They have like a lot of these quote rivalries now. They have this trophy that they keep taking, and I think they call it the borderline trophy. I don't know if that's something that's been relatively new developed, but it's basically take a piece of metal, like the shape of the Missouri Arkansas border, and that's it. It's just a flat piece of metal. It's like, but you have you have the oak buckets, you have the anchors, you have all this kind of stuff. They got like basically a glorified paperweight.
A piece of metal. That's it.
Yes, it's shaped like, and it's not big and huge. It's just like you could carry it like under your arm, like a like a piece of metal or something that like a 2x, or even like a 2x4. It's just it's and it's shaped like the state border between the two. It's very interesting. It's very yellow also. That's yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually have a story about that. So,
Oh, cool.
me and my mom were going to Arkansas because she used to live on the Air Force Base out there. And my mom is, getting nostalgic, and, she wanted to go one last time to visit her childhood home in Arkansas. So
Mm-hmm.
she asked me, she said, "Have you ever been to Missouri?" And I said, "No, because I've never, had the inkling to go to Missouri." So she said, "Well, we have to go through the bottom part of Missouri to get into Arkansas." Okay. So it just so happened that, and this was like during whenever the NHL was playing in the bubbles where they would play multiple games. So I was like, "Oh, well, the Ducks played St. Louis last night." And lo and behold, they were there that Sunday, and we bought tickets, and I went to see the Anaheim Ducks play the St. Louis Blues in Missouri, and that was the first time I ever got to see Anaheim play in real life, and they won in overtime since we were talking about
Wow.
overtime at the beginning. So yeah, that was my first Ducks game.
That is awesome. That's a cool story. Yeah, I don't have such a cool story, because I when my parents went many years ago, I was still in college. I regret not having gone with them,
Mhm.
because they went to St. Louis, and I heard all about how the baseball, all it was downtown there. It would have been cool to have been there by myself, but uh, not that I was a wild college guy being at home anyway. But they went and enjoyed St. Louis, but then apparently didn't get gas at the right time, so they nearly ran out of gas in
Ooh.
Mississippi
Oh
or Arkansas.
no.
They're like, yeah, it's just like, okay. So, but they did. They found gas, though, fortunately. So we
Good.
always my rule is, if you get to see a gas station before an exit, you might want to get gas. So,
We'll
and
put
there you
car-
go. Here comes the Cardinals baseball. There you go.
Go Angels.
Whoopa, if I could just get myself to follow Major League Baseball again, I'd be with you, but I'd be a Cub fan. But we talked about that and what they've done to that Wrigley Field. That just, sorry. It's bad enough what they do with all these stadiums. So,
Mhm.
well, let's look at Well, this game, I don't necessarily consider it the biggest shocker of the week because I've said that with A&M and LSU because of just how bad A&M was. But this is like 1A. The South Carolina Gamecocks, after destroying the Tennessee Volunteers last week, go on the road, beat 8th-ranked and rival Clemson in Death Valley 31-30. Who would have? I mean, another game that who would have seen this coming from a mile away?
And once again, Carolina is clearly behind on the times because they just started their season last week.
Yeah. Oh, and wait till we get to the polls too. It's just like their fan base has got. You talk about a frustrating fan base because we talked like with Tennessee and how they'd feel. Mm-hmm. If I was a Carolina Gamecock fan, I'd be really freaking frustrated after the last 2 weeks. So, but Spencer Rattler has been hot the last 2 weeks. Last week threw 6 touchdown passes. This week was 25-39, 360 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 interceptions. Clemson, DJ Ugobele, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Quarterback was 8 of 29 for 99 yards, a touchdown and an interception. So Clemson gained 240 yards roughly on the ground, while South Carolina moved the ball through the air. It's really, I don't know, just it's shocking to see that this game turned out the way it did. And what's also, the game was 30-28 in the third quarter. The only scoring in the fourth quarter occurred with 10 minutes, 54 seconds in the game when Mitch Jeter hit a 35-yard field goal for the Gamecocks. That was the end of the scoring. So the last 10 and a half, almost 11 minutes had no scoring. So, it just congrats to the Gamecocks. But you just sit there and think about what could have happened with South Carolina. Some of these teams, Vanderbilt, had they beaten Missouri? Missouri, had they won 4 games that were they close loss? And now South Carolina, South Carolina, this is not the team that went to play at Florida.
Mm-mm.
That team could not get its way out of a bag offensively. The only score they had was on a fake punt. And they got dominated. And then the last 2 weeks, they've dominated better teams. It's just really unexplainable. And as Whoopa says, RIP to Clemson's playoff chances. And I do agree with this. It's one thing to, you get a good win. I think he did that his freshman year at Oklahoma with Florida, running his mouth about Florida and his scout team and all this stuff because people didn't want to hear what happened in Florida. Well, that year, Florida had nobody really worth a damn playing on defense. The receivers quit. Kyle Trask had his worst game ever as a Gator, playing with third and fourth string wide receivers that never played all year. The defense was crippled with nobody there, but then Rattler was out there running his mouth about the Gators, and so I do kind of sympathize with that comment. He's trying to act like this big man. Well, do it when you win a conference title.
Yep.
Do it when you win a national title, And until you do that, quiet. Oh, sorry, I won't throw a
Oh, no, because I feel the same way because his picture's been all over ESPN today, and I'm sitting here going, congrats, you beat Clemson and Tennessee. Now go up against Georgia, and yes, even though we won against Alabama this year, go up against Georgia, go up against Alabama, and let's see if you all can beat them.
And you know what? I'm sorry, my apologies to you, my friend. That's how I've always felt like Peyton Manning.
Yes.
Because all the Tennessee fans do is Peyton this, Peyton that, and it's like, what did Peyton really ever do?
So I'm probably going to get run out of the state for this, but okay. I am not a Peyton Manning fan. Was he a good quarterback? He was middle of the road in my opinion, but everybody around here thinks that he is the god of football, and he didn't win us the national championship. T. Martin won us the national championship.
Absolutely. And T. Martin never got the credit he deserved.
No, he didn't.
That's what I kind of, I do that with things in general. It really burns me up when the guys the people that are quiet really do the job, shut their damn mouth, get shit done. They don't see the glory, and they get screwed over. But then the Golden Boys get all the hero worship and everything, and they didn't do a damn thing. And what they did do, they did on the backs of others.
Mm-hmm.
I still think we could even have a debate about Peyton Manning's NFL career too, for that matter.
Yep, we sure
he
could.
did get 1 or 2, I think, but it's still anyway. But yeah, no, and we will safely hide you if we have to, if for disclosing that. You will be protected. But yeah,
it's a shame. It's a shame that Wade isn't in the chat, because I would love to hear his opinion.
Yes, I know. Hopefully, you'll make it before the end of the show. We'll have to remember that. And I've not forgotten your comment, Whoopa. We'll get back to it. Speaking of Tennessee, great segue. The Battle of Tennessee, which I know, Geeky, you were stressed about all week. That became like a fizzle-dutter.
Yes, it
Tennessee
did.
rolled 56-0.
And this is not the first goose egg that Vanderbilt's had this year. They got goose egged by Georgia too. But I was very shocked last night. I thought that with the win that Vandy had against Florida, I thought that Vandy was going to give us a little bit of a run for our money, but I started feeling bad for them in the second half. I was like, come on, Tennessee, just let them get a touchdown. It's like your older brother and the younger brother. It's like, let your younger brother score a goal. All right, Mom, whatever.
They should have put blue on the Tennessee uniforms to make Vanderbilt think they're playing against. And the other thing, Vanderbilt with a win could have been bowl eligible. They had a lot to play for, but they came out. They even looked lethargic. Tennessee, and it wasn't that Tennessee ran rough. Well, I guess they did score a touchdown in the first minute, but still, they did not put them away till really closer to halftime, and Vanderbilt just did not generate offense consistently. So let me stop real quick and say hey to Liam Graywolf. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Liam.
Great to see you. Great to see you tonight. Thanks for stopping by. And on that, Whoopa says Vandy got their 2 SEC wins. Can officially say they didn't finish in sole place for last. Aha. Yep.
True.
We will see that. We will see that in just a moment. And then never let your Brandenburg score. Beat on a submission builds character. Dang,
absolutely. Whoopa. Absolutely. I totally agree with that comment.
Oh my gosh. Nay, that's crazy. Well, you were just saying to let your little brother score a touchdown, but I know.
But that's because Mom's watching. If Mom's not watching.
Gotcha. There you go. Oh boy. Well, it's like we told our girls, hey, you're playing with the boys, you're on your own. And it's like, and Mom's watching. Mom's like, I don't care. You're out there dealing with it. Oh, last 2 games of the conference, week 13. Another 2 more rivalry games. 25th ranked Louisville went to Kentucky and lost. The Wildcats come out with a 26-13 win, putting the cap on a fairly disappointing season for them. We'll look at their overall standings in just a moment at the conference. And then last game of the do we have to talk about this?
Hey,
no mercy. That's my motto. But do we have to talk about this last game?
Well, hold on. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Damn.
Haven't you ever watched Cobra Kai or the Karate Kid movies?
I've seen the Karate Kid movies. I'm not a Karate Kid fan. I think I could never get Ralph Macchio's character. I wanted to punch him all the time.
Well, yeah, because Daniel was actually the villain and Johnny was the victim. So, I mean, I totally understand that. But you know what? I will say this. We'll get to Florida and Florida State, but they have done such a good job with Cobra Kai. It is one, if not the best TV show that's on streaming right now. I love that show.
Okay, well, maybe one day I'll get to it, but I still got to watch The Princess Bride. I've got at least 2 people in the chat on me about watching The Princess Bride. So
and BTW, have you watched The Sandlot yet?
No. Now I've got 2 people on me in the chat to watch The Sandlot. So hey.
Yes, oh my gosh, that's such a good movie.
Maybe we'll have to do a stream, a watch party or something. Oh my God, I got 3 now.
Ha
I got
ha
3 about Princess Bride.
ha ha.
I know Squeak is out there, so Squeak is on the crusade with that too, with the misses, and now 3 on Sandlot. Now, dang it! Oh gosh, that's cool. That's cool. All right, shall we hit the last game?
Yes, we shall. What
Uh,
the hell happened to your Gators?
well, we scored points.
Well, at least you did that.
Shouldn't that count for something?
It should. But with all of these other teams that were unranked that just beat up on the ranked teams, I would have figured that Florida would have won.
No defense.
Yeah,
That
that's
comes down
true.
to they could not stop
Yeah.
FSU's running game.
Yeah.
The Florida defense has been mauled. And what was sad was the middle linebacker. There was a great middle linebacker got kicked out of the Vanderbilt game last week because of a phantom targeting bullshit call.
Yeah.
That's something we need to talk about, bullshit officiating calls like targeting and rules changes sometimes.
Yeah.
But basically, because it's affecting the gameplay and you're losing good players that do something by accident.
Exactly.
You know when somebody's legitimately spearing somebody. You know
Mhm.
it. Just because they accidentally did it, especially when people's bodies drop. Anyway, I know that's a different crusade I'm on, but hey. But yeah, Ventrell Miller was suspended the whole first half. The defense was actually better in the first half than when he came in the second half. So, Florida loses again. But then again, there were times the quarterback play was very suspect. There is again a big problem with this coaching staff and their time management skills.
I
At
will
the end of
agree
the
with
first
that.
half, at the end of the freaking second half, they don't use timeouts properly, or they use them too early. Wow. I'm still negative. We'll see what happens next year. Next year's going to be the thing. But I tell you what, I think Florida, and I'm not trying to ride the quarterback too hard because they did score 38 points, but he turns the ball over way too much. And you saw the game. We watched it that Friday night that he throws the ball into the stands, or inexplicably there's a turnover. But then it doesn't help when you got a minute and a half in the game and you could go score a field goal and the coach is calling some running plays or letting 30 seconds go off the clock. So that's we could definitely spend a lot of time detail analyzing each of these teams.
Oh, yes, we could.
I tell you what, honestly though, I'd rather be a Vol fan this day than a Gator fan because I think you have a much brighter future. You're a big school, you got a recruiting base, you got passion, and you got fans, you got a coach that wants to be there, and he's got, and he's a college football coach. He played,
Yes.
and I know Napier did too, but there's just things I see that I did not see in Heupel's first year, Kirby Smart's first year.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that concern the heck out of me in terms of game management.
Yeah.
And this deal of all these coaches turning into Les Miles now, where we got to go for every friggin' fourth down, never kick a field goal, never play field position. And, it's.
And the thing is that if you go for fourth down and if you don't get it, you get no points. If you go for a field goal, I've always said that a team that gets touchdowns is going to win more than a team that kicks field goals. But in certain situations, it's better to have those points on the board than to have nothing. Because
Exactly.
if you have nothing and the other team, starts running amok, it all depends on those points, and those field goals could help you in the end. Because what if those teams start running amok and then you get a touchdown and you win by 1 point because you took those field goals?
We talked about it earlier. We
did.
watched that game too. Oregon State, Oregon. How many times in the first quarter Oregon moved the ball down there and refused to kick a field goal?
Exactly. And if he had kicked those field goals,
Yeah.
it probably would have been a closer game. If not, the Ducks would have won.
Yeah, you have that, and you also with this thing about going for 2 at the start of the game, so early in the game, where those single points can add up as the game transpires. But well, do you want to bash the Gators a little bit more, or can we move on?
Now, I wasn't bashing the Gators,
No,
but
I will. Opportunity. You're a Tennessee fan. I've said so much crap about Tennessee over the years. I'm just opening up my home to let you crash it and tell me about how.
What? I have said enough crap about Florida in my years too, but what I am going to say is for Tennessee this year, I know of two Florida fans that they may not support Tennessee specifically, but they do support the fan base. And, whenever you have a season that can do that, that can actually bring rivalries together, like, that's what the sport is all about. And, I just, even like, I think I said this last week on the stream, but my hatred for Florida has kind of dissipated a little bit because I've met such nice people, and we talk sports,
Yeah.
and it's fun. So yeah, I'm not gonna bash Florida. I'm not gonna come on here and start bashing on them, but I did want to ask what the hell happened to them, but that's
Yeah.
because I'm so used to Florida just stomping us every
Hey, at least
year.
we passed for more than 66 yards and we scored more than 14 points.
There you
That's kind
go.
of different. But and I'm kind of the same way with the Tennessee. I always joked about the Tennessee being the inbreds over the years, just when the kids were younger and stuff, and just stuff like that silly. But it's what's done it for me Tennessee is listening to the fan base on the Sports Animal, listening to that damn radio station up there.
Yep.
I mean, and I tell you what, some of the Vols that they have ingrained with, and I love that they focus on the college sports because I'm so damn tired of everything being pro sport driven. Like down here, the Gators are like a side thought. FSU is a side thought.
Yeah.
It's all NFL now, and some of us don't like the NFL. If we lost the team, I don't care. But what I love with Sports Animal, you got like Eric Ainge, former Vol. You got Justin Swain. Now, in the afternoon, you got Jimmy Himes, who's like a legend in the sports writing business. People, I like down here. I made sure on friggin' Thursdays when I wasn't listening to sports, I made sure I was on the Thursday show at 5:00 when Jimmy Himes was there because the man knows his shit, and it's very interesting. When Jimmy Himes said the Gators were going to win, I felt confident.
Mm-hmm.
And listening more up there, I appreciate their fan base. I appreciate the people on the station. Now, I do think a couple of them got a little overexcited before Carolina because they thought that they were not going to lose. But that happens to everybody. But overall, and hearing the fans and, the one thing that I feel the sorriest for one of the Tennessee fans, I don't know how much you listen to the Sports Animal during the week or how much you're able to, but they have a win a Ford contest up to like a $50,000 Ford truck. Last year, when it was kind of bad, was it last year or was it the year before? It might have been a year before then because they were really bad and everybody's picking them to lose. This one guy picked them to lose to somebody like whatever to whatever. The guy missed a score by 1 point from the visiting team.
Oh,
he got so damn close. It was like, oh, you felt for the guy. So anyway, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll get to the picks results, but we'll go on Whoopa. Something I've learned from talking to more Southerners. Every Southern state has a different Southern state. They joke about where the inbreds are from.
Kentucky and Alabama.
Oh, God. Kentucky. I like to blame Tennessee and Kentucky, but I got a story about Kentucky, but I got to get express permission from Mrs. Dadman to say it on air. So I will wait for that one. So,
sorry to all of my Kentucky, Alabama fans. Sorry about that, but yeah, from being from Tennessee, that's Kentucky or it's Alabama.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at the picks from last week, shall we? We mentioned, man, we've gone an hour to us talking about football. I love it. And if you have questions, comments, if you don't even know anything about football but want something explained, just put it in the chat and we'll deal with it. We love taking questions.
Well, and I want to go back to Whoopa's other comment that said, I did watch Tombstone for the first time on Friday. I'll be your Huckleberry.
Okay, not Huckleberry Hound, right?
Huh?
Not Huckleberry Hound, right?
No.
Okay.
Have you never seen Tombstone?
Nope, I've never. The only Tombstone I know is the damn pizza.
Oh, my Lanta. Okay.
Apparently, I need to watch a lot more movies with a lot of people. So, hey. So here's where we stand after week 13, after the end of the regular season, the SEC, with our guests that we've had each week. We will. I'll have to show this. Whoopa is excellent with coming up with responses and names.
See,
He's your Whoopaberry.
I love that.
Yes. So this week it was Lorena Creole picked against me. So we're going to look and see how the games went, and head to head in the games that we agreed with. Alabama, Kentucky both won. She picked Mississippi State over Mississippi, Missouri over Arkansas, and she picked A&M to beat LSU. So then I picked Georgia, Tennessee over Vanderbilt, and Florida State over Florida. The one game that you don't see here is the South Carolina Clemson. Neither one of us picked South Carolina in that game. So what that means is we both ended the week 5-4. And overall, the guest and I stay on the same track at 8. I'm 80-31 overall, 75-36 overall. So it's an interesting week. Some interesting games that we've seen.
Absolutely.
And here I want to take a moment to thank everybody that's been on this show, that's been on my panel, that have talked, to come on the shows. Before I do that, is this, you're the second person I've heard say, "Oh, Mylanta." Okay. All I know about Mylanta, it sounds like an acid reflux disease, I think.
Okay. There was a TV show back in the 80s and 90s called Full House, and there were 3 sisters, and the oldest sister, instead of saying, "Oh my God," she would say, "Oh my Lanta," because the actress is really big into the Christian faith. Mm-hmm. So she didn't want to say, "Oh my God." So they had her say, "Oh my Lanta."
That's kind of cool. Although Mylanta, I remember as a stomach medicine. So, yep. But anyway, well, I want to thank everybody that's come on the panels this year. It's been amazing. It's been a crazy and fast 13 weeks. We started off with the wonderful, gorgeous, gracious Mrs. Dadman walking, and she came in with you should have seen. She had band statistics. She did bands. She point valued everything, like color uniforms, fight songs, bands, all this stuff she had, and she picked the winners based on points assigned with it. So, that's, and as I go through the rest of these, listen, I've said it before, and if you're new to the show or you're listening to this first time, go back on each of these shows, watch, forget the statistics, forget the football, because all that's past, but watch the sections where the guests get to talk about their experiences with with football, the times together, the memories that they've had, things that they like to do and share. There's just so much good stuff that were out there. And Mrs. shared with that. My next week was the wonderful Squeaker Mouse, who came in using cheese to pick the winners. The cheese picked the winners of it. But not only that week was very special in that her dad was also involved in picking with us in the games. As you see the Crunch logo right there to him, he's big into football. I coached some teams even, to this year, and that was a wonderful time that we had there that week. Then we had Mark D with a C coming in with his technical engineering skills and barbecue that he always does. That he just went 12-0. The only perfect score, the perfect record this year. And yeah, I'm going to highlight this one. I hope Squeaker's still there. I know she was working, but yes, Squeaker is top cheese. They had Mark there, had Culture Casino on. That was a fascinating discussion in terms of, I got so overwhelmed with what he was saying with knowledge and stuff that thank God the missus was here to deal with the chat. I forgot to read the chat. So who knows what was said that time. Then the next week was Rambling Canuck we had on, who's from Canadian. From Canada. We got to talk about the difference between American and Canadian. Between American and Canadian football, and it was awesome. And he also shared video of his son playing high school football. It was wonderful there. The next was Gen X, who appeared twice, talked about his rivalries with Auburn and Georgia. He was more of an Auburn rival see, I'm an old guy. I'm 20-something years older than him. He looked at Auburn as more of a rival, whereas old school me, I'm Gators in Georgia as a rival.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, kind of like Tennessee with Alabama. That's the big rival there until the later years, whenever Florida and then Georgia started becoming our rivals as well.
Yes, exactly. Then Clobberin Times, the great Clobberin Times, he was more from an NFL standpoint, but brought that Louisiana flavor and experience over there. And we had Esh Singh from the UK, who all he knows about American football is the Patriots. But, he used dice rolls, like numerous dice rolls to pick the winners, and he beat me that week. It was quite impressive to see what he did with D&D dice and stuff like that. And he rolled them like 20 times. Go back. That's what I'm saying. Go back and watch some of these videos. Even if you focus on the pick sections or the comments where people talk about their experiences, there's some wonderful stuff that's there. And, maybe hope for one day I can get back and maybe get some clips out of it. But then we got the man himself, even though he wasn't perfect, the great Whoopa Troopa, who definitely can take another victory lap for the week he was here, winning by several games. So, hey, congrats, Whoopa. And finally, the last of the new guests was a couple weeks ago with my kid, Ang, who did very well, only lost by one game. And it was a wonderful time. So, here we go. He's a Whoopa. And okay, Wade, are you still here? Wade, are you still here? Because we definitely go Beavers, and we had a few Tennessee comments.
Yeah. Go Beavers.
Yay. Hey, what? They're just a glorified duck, a duck.
Hey, glorified what?
It's a beaver, so it's glorified. Oh, that is awesome. But this is where we stand, and this is, again, thank you to each and every one of these people, and for them, all my guests have meant a lot to me. We've had some very special moments, and there's some very wonderful moments that we've had along the way. And, and generally everybody I invited came on. I mean, there was one or two cancellations, but they were, things that had happened. So,
oh, geez.
We are going to leave this one right here. I'm going to stick with the football Beavers. Okay.
Oh,
unless you talk about hunting. So, Whoopa.
Ew.
Whoopa. Keep it.
Ew. Hunt beavers.
Ooh. Yeah, hunt them and skin them and eat them,
Ew, no. Oh, God. No. That sounds horrible.
What? I mean, it'd be like deer, wouldn't it? So
I don't know. I've eaten deer once, and beavers scare me. They could probably take your head off with that tail.
Oh, I bet they could. They're feisty little things and territorial. So,
well, while we're waiting to see if Wade's still here, I actually do have another story about Tennessee football, and this one actually includes the band too, and it's kind of funny.
Go ahead.
So, I can't remember which game it was, but I went to my first Tennessee game several years ago with my best friend, and we got there and we were walking down to the stadium, and the Pride of the Southland marching band had just come down from the Salute to the Hill, and they were coming into the stadium playing Rocky Top. I ran through so many people so that way I could see the band, and I actually have a video of them walking into the stadium playing Rocky Top.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to throw that up on the tweets. But yeah, that was really cool. And mind you, this was in, I think, either September or October, and she was pregnant with twins. So here I go running to see the band, and she catches up with me 5 minutes later, laughing her tail off. And she's like, "You are ridiculous." I'm like, "This is the first time that I've gotten to see the Pride of the Southland marching band. Like, are you kidding me right now?" Or maybe no.
I'm telling you, there is just something about the damn bands.
Oh, yeah. And actually, I told a lie. That was not my first game. My first game was a couple of years before that. And Tennessee I don't even think that they played anybody because me and the person that I was with, we left like third quarter, something like that.
Yeah. Well, looks like Wade's back or here.
Hey, Wade.
Do you want to tell him what you said earlier?
I remember what I said earlier.
Oh yeah, about our favorite quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Wade, am I going to get kicked out of the state of Tennessee for not being a Peyton Manning fan? What's your opinion on that?
Looks like that. Oh, sorry. That was he. He's still here. I'm sorry. I boomered that one.
Ah, you damn boomer.
Damn boomer. Yeah. Hey, I had to start it off okay. It goes downhill from there.
There had to be one boomer moment. I mean,
Yeah, I know. But see, his answer, I could. That's the problem with saying yes. I can use it any way and any time and concept I want. So.
well, I think he was saying that yes, he is still
He was here. Yes, he was.
So
we'll see.
So don't start trying to run me out of the state of Tennessee.
No, it just don't. We don't want to have to put her in a witness protection program, but
oh God,
yeah, it's just. But yeah, and Wade, thanks for having that Discord party yesterday. You know, it was fun watching some of the Ohio State Michigan game with you guys.
Oh, while we're waiting on that, let's talk about that the Ohio State and Michigan game.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, let's put on our airs. Remember.
The Ohio State. And I was actually at a store buying a brand new Tennessee sweatshirt because all of my stuff has been worn for at least 15 years. So we were standing there and I was sitting there watching that. And one of the guys goes, well, you know what? Ohio State doesn't even play anybody. They just got exposed. And I was sitting there going, I mean, he's not wrong. Because Ohio State doesn't really play anybody until they get to Michigan. Yes. And yeah, so
we'll look at that in a little bit when we look at the AP poll results.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Whoopa comes in saying Eli was better than Peyton. And that's as an NFL quarterback, absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
I think he won better championships. I mean, I think Peyton had to rely on a lot more support to win them. Like the one in Denver was like, the defense, and don't get me started on Tebow, that the year Tebow quarterback that on the defense. Anyway, sorry, I was starting on another crusade. I could go on so many damn crusades. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? Mrs. in there laughing like, please ramble on to these people in the geeky so I don't have to listen to it. You know, she's like there. Thank God I got somebody to he's got somebody to talk to. Hey, 8 people are watching. Thank you guys. Make sure you follow on Twitch, and if you like and subscribe on the YouTube side, put it out to friends and stuff like that. So all that. I might do something March Madness. I don't know that I'm going to do weekly basketball stuff, but I may not do brackets per se, but I'm sure that we'll come together at some point and talk some basketball. I'm sure, and I'll bring Whoopa on that if he wants to, because I know Whoopa's a basketball expert. Geeky is not so much of a basketball fan. Why, Geeky?
Because the shoes squeak on the floor.
What do you have against squeaking? We've got a mouse in the chat. What's
but no. See, that's different though. Like Squeaka is the top cheese. You know, I don't know. It just it grates on my ears and my nerves. And I was actually telling him earlier that one of my favorite TV shows is One Tree Hill, which is a basketball based TV show. And and I'm like, I can't watch like pro and college basketball because the shoes start grating on my nerves. And I'm like,
Yep. I got you.
It's not like the sound of the skates on ice. See, the skates on ice, that's music. That's the most glorious sound in the whole world. But then those squeaks on those tennis shoes,
I got you. Well, let's conclude the SEC season right here with this. Let's look at the overall standings after week 13, the final results in the conference. We go back to what I predicted into the let me get this. Wade's going to do a watch party maybe. Baylor Zaga Friday. It's a national championship rematch. Yep. So, and we got basketball coming up. The SEC's gotten better in basketball over the years, but and Georgia's now got the old Florida coach that I hated now up there coaching basketball. But going back to our previous show, pretty much the SEC East finished up about what I thought. and kind of in line with the what the media polls had suggested. With Georgia on top, Tennessee pulled away from Kentucky in the middle of the pack. Then you got a three-way log. Well, you got Carolina barely in fourth, but that win against Tennessee was big. But then you got a log jam there of 3 and 5 teams between Kentucky, Florida, and Missouri, and Vanderbilt moved up a little bit this year. Got 2 wins in the conference, first time since 2019 they had conference wins, and 5 and 7 overall. And they featuring the win over Florida, first time that they've beaten Florida since 2013, and the first time they've beaten Florida since 1988 at home. So the East sort of played out like we expected.
And here I was going to be a smart aleck and going, who did Vanderbilt beat again?
Yes, there you go. You can say it all you want to.
Well, you already said it, so now I can't say it.
Well, you can say it all you want to because it's the truth. But then the West was where we really had a lot of the surprises. We had a year I picked Alabama. Alabama didn't make it to the championship game. They ended up finishing tied for first, technically second, because of the head-to-head loss to LSU. So that's why you look. It's weird as LSU is only 9-3, Alabama's 10-2, but in the conference they're both 6-2. LSU won head-to-head. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, not surprising where they finished, but the biggest surprise is the bottom. 2 of the 3 in the bottom. Auburn was supposed to be the clear bottom run of the West, according to the media and everybody pretty much. But they were joined by 2 teams that were picked and projected to challenge Alabama in the West, Arkansas and Texas A&M. Go figure. That's why you play the games. I mean, that's really where we see the surprises in the SEC this year are over in the West. Any thoughts with that?
Well, even in the East, I mean, who expected Tennessee to go 10-2 this season? I sure didn't. I mean, it's just been a crazy year for SEC football.
Well, I tell you, I thought South Carolina was a friggin' train wreck, and we're going to end up middle of the pack. And then the last 2 weeks, they beat 2 teams that they should not have beaten. One in conference, one out of conference.
Yep.
So go figure. And then the West is usually so dominant, but the West is down this year, it looks like.
The tide is turning, no pun intended.
Well, I don't know. The thing is, Chip Kelly's not Chip Kelly. That's the UCLA coach.
Wow.
God. The guy from Notre Dame, Kelly, that came down to LSU. Will he fit in the culture long term? That's the thing. That was the question I had about that hire. A lot of the Yanks that come down in some of these southern states don't fit in, and will they adjust? I mean, Joe Moorhead went to Mississippi State and did not last long. So, yep, the pun was definitely intended and not apologized for. So, Brian Kelly, thank you, Wuka. Thank you, appreciate it. I was drawing a blank. I could only remember Chip Kelly, who was potentially going to be coaching for Florida when Dan Mullen got the job, but he went to UCLA. All right. Any other thoughts on the SEC before we put this regular season to bed?
No thoughts coming from this angle.
The next we'll talk about, like I said, will be Thursday night when we talk about the championship game coming up and making some picks among the 5 power conferences. So with that, we're going to start the wind down process, but we're going to do that first by coming through the AP Top 25. This week, there's a lot of shakeups. Probably the biggest was Ohio State losing to Michigan. And folks, if you don't want to talk some national football now's the chance. We're under 2 hours. I know Geeky's got a commitment with our hockey in about 40 minutes, and that's okay. But we got a few minutes here. What about this Ohio State Michigan game? It was a 20-point spread, and look, in the AP poll, Ohio State only fell 3 spots. That's not a good sign for teams like Tennessee or Alabama, is it?
No, it's not.
I mean,
because what's going to happen to Alabama and Tennessee for the playoffs, and I don't expect Tennessee to get in, but Alabama has been such a staple in that. What is that going to do to Alabama and Tennessee?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, TCU and USC have to lose their games.
Yeah.
And maybe even Michigan lose the conference. I mean, I don't know. Michigan losing the conference title might end up making 2 Big Ten teams then. It just depends on how the Big 12 and the Pac-12 championship games play out.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see when the college football poll itself comes out on Tuesday, which is a combination of various human polls and computer polls, and the committee, comes out with their when they select the top 4 teams. So that would be going to the playoffs. So, and as I say that, put on your calendars tentatively. 2 weeks. The December 15th, we're looking at doing a bowl special, looking at all the various bowls and picking the winners out of those bowl games. And then on the 29th, a Thursday also, of having a specific playoff show with the 4 teams that are going to be in the bowl games, playoff games. So look forward to that. And then we'll talk a little bit more national sports. But Alabama, Tennessee, I think, are not in good position now, depending on how the bowl poll comes out. They're going to need help between, with TCU and USC now with Ohio State ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I mean, you would have thought maybe one would have fallen. But see, again, Alabama with that loss, the last loss they had, Tennessee might end up with the woulda, coulda, shoulda season now, having lost that game at South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But at least now that loss at South Carolina does not look so bad considering what Carolina did to Clemson this weekend on the road. So that can't be dismissed.
Yeah.
The SEC has 6 teams in the top 25. You can see more Big 10 and Pac-12 teams. The highest ranked ACC team is Clemson at 10, or as a friend of mine called them, Wimpson. So maybe after Saturday, you call them that. LSU dropped all the way to 11th. So let's go back to the starred comment here. Lupa. If LSU somehow wins the SEC championship, do you think they have a shot at the CFP? I mean, 3-loss LSU with a loss this bad. What do you think, Geeky?
I don't think that they would have a chance at the CFP according to this. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I got distracted again.
Yeah, and we also have to see what happens with the actual playoff poll itself when it comes out too. Yeah, and see, Whoopa agrees that Alabama over Tennessee is silly.
Yeah.
Well, what I really think here has happened here, had LSU won this week with 2 losses and they beat Georgia, of course, you'd have 2 SEC teams in.
Yeah.
But there's no way that the committee is going to put a 3-loss, even a conference champion, in a playoff that's supposed to be the 4 best teams in the country. When you've got Georgia, well, Georgia would have 1 loss, but assuming Michigan, TCU went out, you got USC and Ohio State with only 1 loss. I mean, LSU, even though they beat Alabama, they still had a 3rd loss compared to Alabama and Tennessee, who really butt stomped LSU. So, how do you go from there? You just, that's, so I don't think it's likely. I don't think, and especially how bad this loss was to a team that ended up 5-7 in the overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jess, glad you made it.
Hey, Jess.
Hey. Oh, so glad you got in here just under the wire. So, and then of course FSU moves up to 14 after beating the Gators. And dang it, how the friggin' Ducks ahead of the Beavers?
Bombay Miracle. The Bombay Miracle.
Hey, we kicked your ass. We came from 21. We were down 34-17 and 3 touchdowns in a span of less than 10 minutes in the 4th quarter, and the Beavers win the game. But it's okay. It doesn't really matter.
Hey, at least they're in the top 25.
Yes.
Look at it that way.
Absolutely. And I've got a team that's actually successful.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you never knew that I'd be successful with Beavers, instead of
See,
Gators.
you have to accentuate the positive, and that is the second Mighty Ducks reference that I have made in this stream, and I will stop now.
Accentuate I got to tell you something off air, but accentuate the positivity of beavers. Such a lovely animal.
This is getting ready to go down a road that we don't need to go
We
down.
are going to move on. We are going to move on. So UCLA and Tulane, Mrs. team is Tulane, the Green Wave. They're moving up. And Notre Dame fell after loss to USC. So there are too many USCs. There's the South Carolina and there's the Southern California.
Yeah.
So anyway, but hey, North Carolina stayed in the poll. So which leads up next week. We've got Georgia, LSU, in the Southeastern Conference. We got Michigan and Purdue in the Big Ten Conference. We got TCU, Kansas State in the Big 12 Conference. We've got Clemson, North Carolina in the Atlantic Coast, and followed by USC, 4th ranked, and 12th ranked Utah in the Pac-12. I got all the names right that time.
Woohoo!
Myself. So Geeky, any other final thoughts? Any other things you got?
All I have to say is I am just proud of my boys this year. They went from being the bottom of the barrel for so long, and they fought hard this season. So I'm just, even if we just get a bowl game, I'm going to be super proud of them no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're not, who knows? You might be coming to Florida.
Who knows?
Are you thinking about would you make that road trip if that happened?
Probably not because of my work schedule.
Damn. I was thinking of getting some good weather, and stuff like that. So
I know I have to adult. I don't want to adult.
I hate having to adult all the time.
Oh, Whoopa, the Raiders just went into overtime. Holy crap. Here we go.
Yep, exactly. Going to overtime. We talked about overtime tonight too. How about that?
Yes, we did.
Well, we'll throw it out with this. Everybody, like we mentioned, Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. It's going to be the 2022 Power 5 Conference Championship Special with Geeky and me talking about the 5 major conferences and the matchups and talking more football one last week leading up to the bowl season and the playoff picture. So, join us for a live discussion. It'll be interesting. We'll spend more time on conferences that we've not talked about a lot. So, join us, help us. If you got information, share it with us, and we'll definitely have a good time. And Liam, unfortunately, yes, sometimes we do have to adult though.
Yeah.
So we're good with that. Well, no, we're not good with that.
No, we're not. No. We're not good with that. No. See, don't get it twisted. See, I have to adult.
I know, it's so frustrating.
See, you know what? I want a refund. Whenever I was a kid and I wanted to be an adult, I did not sign up for this crap. This is not the crap that I signed up for. So I want a refund. I
know. I agree. No exchanges though, no refunds, no exchanges. So some of the stores. So, well, join us Thursday night though for that. It should be lively. It should be fun. As always, you can follow us on YouTube at Dadman Walking 55. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Help us out. Leave a like. Still, if we can get 100 on the YouTube side, I've said I'd do a 24-hour stream. So hope you can be there.
Subscribe.
Yes. I think, of course, I'll be calling on some of you to help me get me through 24 hours. I always like the overnight shift, but we'll figure that out. Also on twitch.tv, Dadman Walking 55. Follow us over there. As always, you can, one-stop shopping at Dadman Walking 55. But go to Twitter. Twitter is where you'll see the most up-to-date information. And when we go live, when we do stuff that is not necessarily football, Fortnite streams, really working coming up to in the future, in the next few months, to try to bring out some more non-sport related shows and content. Maybe do some more shorts there based on what we've produced, and just working with things with the channel to try to get more out there for people. But thank you as always for your support. And just as a question, and now at the end, and yeah, if y'all got questions, I don't mean, no, we got the football. Fortnite Goat Simulator 3 inspired skin. Yeah, I saw that. I'm not sure what I think of that. I really don't. So I'm like, I don't know.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's out. It looks kind of interesting. I want them to have a beaver though. I would like the Fortnite to have the angry beaver to, like, seriously, as a skin. We got Peely the banana. We got a flipping rainbow unicorn. We got now a goat. Why not a beaver? Is that too much to ask?
But the main question is there a duck?
Is there a duck? Jess is laughing. I know there's a rubber ducky in the little tub thing. I don't know that there is a duck. Yes, the boss has said there is a duck somewhere in there. So yes, there is a duck.
The ears just went up. Ooh, the ears just went up.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, and here's for more content, a Princess Bride review, perhaps. Well, if I do a Princess Bride review, I know 2 people that are going to be on this with me. So anyway, that's and when I do Sandlot, Geeky will be one of the people with me. So
absolutely, yes.
Mrs. says Quackling. Yes, I remember that's an NPC too. So yeah, and Jess, no, they did not have the Peely ornament at our Five Below.
Oh, that stinks.
I went, looked. They had a lot of other stuff, but not Peely. So that's crazy though. But hey. All right. Well, you got anything else you want to say tonight before we leave?
Nope. I'm pretty much done. We went over everything I wanted to go over.
Cool. And we'll get ready for hockey.
Yes.
Exactly. And then we'll get more football on Thursday night where we're going to look at the 5 conference championship games. I think I'm kind of excited for it.
That's gonna be a fun time because we'll actually get to look at conferences that we don't really look at except for like maybe the Pac-12 because you're a Beavers fan, I'm a Ducks fan, so that's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah, and the Beavers have lost. Actually, the Beavers lost to both teams this year, so it's and they lost worse to Utah, but then turnovers killed them at home against USC. They should have beaten USC. They lost 17-14. So. But we'll take a look at all that in a deep dive Thursday night. Geeky, thank you again as always.
It's always such a pleasure being on this stream. It's so much fun to talk football. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you to everybody in the chat who had their quips and their questions. And this was so much fun. Yeah, absolutely. Enjoyed it, guys. Like I said, one last thing. I mean, I'm a Gator fan, but my Beavers turned out the best team. And actually made the top 15. I've got to be proud of that. So, and on that note, folks, I will say good night. See you next time, whether it's a Fortnite stream or whether it is a Thursday night this week for a conference football championship special. And just, like I said, look forward to more content and good things to come. And listen, every one of y'all, thank y'all so much. I know I talked about the guests that have come on through the years, God, 13 weeks sounds too long, but that have come on all these shows over the 13 weeks. But, honestly, you guys being in the chat, talking, making jokes and all is what it's about, and having a conversation. And thank you all for being in the chat, even if you not be able to stay all the time or make it all the time. But thank you so much for what you do and for your support. And on that note, I will say good night. Take care. We got to go back to work tomorrow. Ugh. At least a lot of us do. God, I hate that part. I hate that part. It's like talking about adulting. Yeah, I love you too, Liam. Pass along hello to your mom. But yeah, it's Liam. Yeah, it's just like, God, I was talking to somebody else today. It's like, I don't want to go back to work either. I've had 5 days off and it's like, no. So it's crazy. So
You guys have a good night. I'll stop talking now. Have a great night and enjoy what's left of your weekend. Bye, all.